fantastic show. The kids are so excited to see it. And please feel free to send telegrams during our 2 intermissions. You can also buy concessions. And just a reminder, turn off your phones and no flashing lights. Alright, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Dr. Harper, my sister Martha and I have been talking about your sermon all last week. It really is wonderful. In only 2 short years, you've taken over the spirit of Brooklyn.
It's very gratifying, Miss Brewster.
You see, living here next to the church, all our lives we've seen so many ministers come and go. But we've always said that the spirit of Brooklyn is friendliness, and your sermons are not so much sermons, but friendly talks.
Yes, I've always enjoyed my talks with Cardinal Gibbons, but I haven't met him yet.
No, dear, not yet. Are the biscuits good?
Fully!
Won't you have another biscuit, Dr. Harper?
Oh no, I'm afraid I'll have no appetite for dinner. I always eat too many of your biscuits just to get a taste of that lovely jam.
But you haven't tried the king say yet. We always put a little apple in it to take the tartness out.
No, thank you.
We'll send a jar over.
No, keep it here so I can be sure of having your biscuits with it.
I do hope they don't make us use that imitation flour again. I mean, with all this war trouble, it wouldn't be very charitable of me. But I've almost come to the conclusion that this Mr. Hitler isn't a Christian.
Only you're on another planet.
Sir?
Yes, Teddy.
Point your gun the other way!
Gun?
Teddy!
To the west! There's your enemy! There's your danger! Japan!
Why, yes, of course.
Teddy!
Go on, Tabby. Let's talk of Europe and more about the canal.
Well, let's not talk about war, dear. Do you have another cup of tea?
No, thank you, Aunt Tabby.
Dr. Harper?
No, thank you. I must say that I find that war and violence are far removed from these surroundings.
It is peaceful here, isn't it?
Yes, peaceful. The virtues of another day are all here in this house. The virtues that went out with candlelight, good manners, and low taxes.
It's one of the oldest houses in Brooklyn. It's just as it was when Grandfather Brewster built and furnished it himself. Well, except for the electricity, and we use it as little as possible. It was actually Mortimer who persuaded us to put it in.
Your nephew, Mortimer, seems only to live by electric light.
Poor boy has to work so late. I understand he's taking Elaine with him to the theater again tonight. Teddy, your brother Mortimer will be home a little bit later.
Delighted!
We're so glad it's Elaine that Mortimer takes to the theater with him.
Yes. So, I will say that I find Mortimer to be quite the worthy gentleman. However, I have observed the growing intimacy between my daughter and him with some trepidation for one reason, Miss Abby.
You mean his stomach, Dr. Harper?
Stomach?
His dyspepsia. He's bothered with it so. Poor boy.
No, Miss Abby, I'll be frank with you. I'm referring to your nephew's unfortunate connection with the theater.
The theater? Why, Mortimer writes for a New York newspaper.
Yes, I know. But a dramatic critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I don't doubt that some of them do develop an interest in it.
Well, now, Mortimer, you need no fear of that. Why, Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Oh, yes, he writes awful things about it. But you can't blame him, poor boy. He was so happy writing about real estate. It was something he really knew about, and they just made him take this terrible night position.
My.
But as he says, the theater can't last much longer anyway. And in the meantime, it's a living. Yes, I think if we give the theater another year or 2, perhaps. Well, who do you suppose that is? Oh, no, Teddy, dear, I'll go. Come in, Mr. Brophy.
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How are you, Officer Klein?
Very well, Miss Brewster.
What news have you got for me?
Colonel, we have nothing to report.
Splendid! All right, gentlemen, at ease.
You know Dr. Harper.
Sure. Hello, Dr. Harper. We've come for the toys for the Christmas fund.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's a splendid work you gentlemen do. Taking discarded toys, fixing them up to give poor children a happier Christmas.
It gives us something to do when you have to sit around the station. You get tired playing cards, and then you start cleaning your gun, And the first thing you know, you shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, go upstairs and get that big box from your Aunt Martha's room. How is Miss Brophy? Miss Brophy's very ill, Dr. Harper.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She's doing better now, a little weak still.
Oh, I'll go get some beef broth for you to take to her.
Oh, don't bother, Miss Abby. You've done so much for her already.
Oh, we made it this morning. Sister Martha is taking some to poor Mr. Beninsky right now. I will be a minute. Just get comfortable, all of you.
She really shouldn't go to all that trouble.
Listen, try to stop her or her sister from doing something nice, and for nothing. They don't even care how you vote.
When I received my call to Brooklyn and moved next door, my wife was ill. When she passed, and for months before, well, if I know what true generosity and pure kindness are, it is because I've known the Brewster sisters.
Colonel, you promised not to do that anymore.
I have to call a cabinet meeting in order to get a release of those supplies.
He used to do that in the middle of the night sometimes. Neighbors raise Cain with us. They're a little afraid of him.
Oh, he's quite harmless.
Suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. There's a lot worse people who would think he was.
Damn shame. Nice family like this hatching a cuckoo.
Well, his father, the old girl's brother, was some sort of genius, wasn't he? And Teddy's grandfather was a little crazy too, I heard.
Yeah, crazy like a fox. He made $1 million.
$1 million here in Brooklyn?
Yeah, patent medicine. He was kind of a quack of some sort. Old Sergeant Edwards remembers him. He used a house here as some sort of clinic to try him out on people.
Yeah, and I heard he used to make mistakes occasionally too.
The department never bothered much with him because he was pretty helpful on autopsies sometimes, especially poison cases.
Well, whatever he did, he left his daughters fixed for life. Thank goodness for that.
Not that they ever spent any of it on themselves.
I'm well acquainted with their charities.
You don't know a tenth of it. When I was with the Missing Persons Bureau, we were trying to trace down an old man that we never did find. Do you know the renting agency has got this house down on its list of furnished rooms? They don't rent rooms, but you can bet that anybody who comes here looking for a room goes home with a good meal and probably a few dollars in the tip.
It's just their way of digging up people to do some good to them.
Oh, this is nice.
Good afternoon, Miss Brewster.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brophy. Dr. Harper, Mr. Klein.
How do you do, Miss Brewster? We came to get the Christmas toys.
Oh, yes, Teddy's Army and Navy. They wear out. They're all packed.
The colonel's upstairs after them. I guess the cabinet has to okay it.
Yes, of course. I hope Mrs. Brophy's doing better.
Oh, she's doing fine, ma'am. Your sister's getting some soup for me to take to her.
Yes, we made it this morning. I just took some to a poor man who broke ever so many bones.
Oh, Martha, you're back. How is Mr. Beninsky?
Well, dear, it's pretty serious, I'm afraid. The doctor was there. He's going to amputate in the morning.
Can we be present?
No. I asked, but he said it's against the rules of the hospital.
Well, you couldn't be of any service, and you must spare yourself something.
Here's the broth for you to take to Miss Brophy. Be sure it's good and hot.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, this is fine. It'll make a lot of kids happy. That O'Malley boy is nuts about soldiers.
That's General Miles. I've retired him. What's this? The organ!
Teddy, dear, put it back.
But the organ goes to Australia!
Now, Teddy.
No, I've given my word to Fighting Bull Evans.
But Teddy...
What's the difference what kid gets it? Bobby Evans? Izzy Cohen? We'll be running along, ma'am, and thank you very much.
No trouble at all. Goodbye.
I, best be going.
Before you go, Dr. Harper.
Charge! Charge the Broke House!
The blockhouse?
The stairs are always San Juan Hill.
Have you ever tried to convince him that perhaps he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no.
He's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt.
Once a long time ago, remember, Martha? We thought if he beat George Washington, it might be a change.
But he stayed under his bed for days and just wouldn't be anybody.
And we'd so rather he be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, if he's happy, and more importantly, you're happy, will you see that he signs these?
What are they?
Dr. Harper has arranged for Teddy to go to Happy Hill Sanitarium after we pass on.
But why must Teddy sign them?
It's better to have it all settled now. If the Lord were to take you unexpectedly, perhaps we couldn't convince Teddy to commit himself, and that would be an unpleasant legal procedure. Mr. Witherspoon understands that they are to be filed away until they are ready to be used.
Mr. Witherspoon? Who is he?
He's the superintendent of Happydale.
Dr. Harper has arranged for him to stop by tomorrow or the next day to meet Teddy.
Well, I'd best be going. I don't want Elaine over here looking for me now.
Oh, give our love to Elaine, and Dr. Harper, please don't think harshly of Mortimer because he's a dramatic critic. Somebody has to do those things.
Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late?
Yes, and dinner's going to be late too.
So, why?
Teddy! Good news! You're going to Panama to dig a new lock in the canal.
Delighted! I'm prepared once for the journey.
Abby!
Charge!
Well, I was out,
Yes, dear. I just couldn't wait for you. I didn't know when you'd be back.
but all by yourself.
Oh, I got along fine.
I'll run downstairs and see.
Oh, no, dear. I was all alone. There wasn't time.
Well,
Martha, just look in the window seats. Come in. Oh, it's Elaine. How are you, dear?
Good afternoon, Miss Abby. Good afternoon, Miss Martha. I thought Father was here.
he just this minute left. Didn't you meet him?
No, I took a shortcut to the cemetery. And Mortimer hasn't come yet?
No, dear, not yet.
Oh, he asked me to meet him here. Do you mind if I wait?
Not at all.
Sit down, dear.
But we really must speak to Mortimer about doing this to you.
Doing what?
Well, he was brought up to know better. When a gentleman takes a young lady out, you should call for her at your house.
Oh, there's something about calling for a girl at a parsonage that discourages any man who doesn't embroider.
He's done this too often. We're going to speak to him.
Oh, please don't. After young men whose idea of nightlife is to take me to prayer and things, it's wonderful to go to the theater every night of my life.
Oh, it's comforting for us too, dear. If Mortimer has to see some of those plays he has to see, well, at least he's sitting next to a minister's daughter.
Oh, dear, what must you think of me for not having tea cleared by this time of day?
Don't do anything in the kitchen until Mortimer comes, and then I'll help you. Mortimer should be here any minute now.
Yes. Father must have been surprised not to find me at home. I'd better run over and say goodnight to him.
It's a shame you missed him, dear.
If Mortimer comes, you tell him I'll be right back. Oh, hello, Lord.
Hello, Wayne. Hello, Martha.
Abby, Mortimer's here.
Were you going somewhere?
I was just going over to tell Father not to wait up for me tonight.
I didn't know that was still being done. Even in Brooklyn.
Oh, hello, Mortimer.
Hello, Aunt Tabby.
How are you,
I'm
dear?
good. Did you look well? You haven't changed much since yesterday.
Oh, my goodness, it was yesterday, wasn't it? Well, how are you? Come down, sit.
Abby, haven't we something to do in the kitchen?
The kitchen?
You know, the tea things.
Tea. Oh, the tea things. Well, why don't you two just make yourselves at home, John?
Make yourselves at home.
Well, can't you take a hint?
No. That was pretty obvious. A lack of inventiveness, I should say.
Yes, that's exactly what you'd say.
So, where do you want to go for dinner?
I don't care. I'm not very hungry.
Well, I just had breakfast. Suppose we wait until after the show?
That'll make it pretty late then, won't it?
Not with the little steak roast scene tonight. What I've heard about it, we should be at Blake's by 10 o'clock.
You ought to be fair to these plays.
Are these plays fair to me?
I've never seen you walk out of a musical.
That musical is an opening tonight.
Oh, no.
Darling, you'll have to learn moves. With the musical, there was 4 changes of time and 3 postponements. I liked the New Haven, but it needs a lot of work.
Oh, I was hoping it was a musical.
You have such a light mind.
Not a bit. Musicals have a humanizing effect on you. After a serious play, we join the proletariat on the subway and I get a lecture on the drama. After a musical, you take me home in a taxi and You make a few passes.
Now, darling, that's a very inaccurate piece of reporting.
Oh, I will admit that after that Berman play, you told me I had an authentic beauty. And that's a hell of a thing to say to a girl. Oh, but it wasn't until our first musical that you told me I had nice legs. And I have, too.
For a minister's daughter, you know a lot about life. Where'd you learn it?
In the choir loft.
I'll explain that to you sometime, darling. The close connection between eroticism and religion.
Religion never gets as high as the choir loft. Which reminds me, I'd better tell Father not to wait up for me tonight.
I've never been able to rationalize it.
What?
My falling in love with a girl who lives in Brooklyn?
Falling in love? You're not stooping to be articulate, are you?
The only way I can regain my self-respect is to keep you in New York.
Did you say keep?
No. No, I've come to the conclusion that you're holding out for legalities.
Well, I can afford to be a good girl for quite a few years yet.
I mean, I can't wait that long. Where can we be married and hurry? Say, tonight?
I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Oh, God! I bet your father can make it in the marriage service a pedestrian.
Are you by chance writing a review on it?
Oh, forgive me, darling. It's an occupational disease. Think I'll put it on good notice.
Now, darling, don't pretend you love me that much.
And be sure to tell your father not to wait up tonight.
I think tonight I'd better tell him to wait up.
I'll telephone Winchell and publish the bands.
Nevertheless.
All right. Everything formal and legal, but not later next month?
Oh, darling, I'll talk it over with Father and we'll set the date.
No. We'll have to see what's in rehearsal. There will be lots of other first acts in October.
Hello, Mortimer!
Hello, Mr. President.
What news have you brought me?
Just this, Mr. President. The country is squarely behind you.
Oh, yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye. Goodbye.
Where are you off to, Teddy?
Panama!
Panama is the cellar. He digs lunch for canal street.
You are so sweet with him. And he's very fond of you.
Well, Teddy was always my favorite brother.
Favorite? Are there more of you?
There's another brother. Jonathan.
I've never heard of him. Your aunts never speak of him.
No. We don't like to talk about Jonathan. He left Brooklyn very early. By request. Jonathan was the type of boy who liked to cut worms in two. With his teeth.
What became of him?
I don't know. He wanted to be a surgeon like grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first, and his practice got him into trouble.
He sounds like a horrible man.
Aren't you two going to be late for the theater?
We're skipping dinner. We'll have to leave for another 30 minutes.
Oh, well then I'll leave you two alone together again.
Oh, don't bother, darling. I'm going to run over to speak to Father. Before I go out with you, he likes to pray over me a little. I'll be right back. I'll take a shortcut in the cemetery.
The prayer isn't too long. I have time to lead you beside distilled waters.
Mortimer, that's the first time I've heard you quote the Bible. We knew Elaine would be a good influence on you.
By the way, I'm going to marry her.
What? Oh, darling. Martha, Martha, come quick. I've got the most wonderful news for you. Martha, Mortimer, and Elaine are going to be married.
Married?
Oh, Mortimer. We hoped it would happen just like this.
Elaine must be the happiest girl in the world.
Happy! Just look at her leaping over those gravestones. Say, what's that?
What's what, dear?
Statue. It's, pointing crony.
Oh, no, dear. That's Emma V. Stoutest, and you can have it.
No, staying on Miss Stout's left ear. That bird. That's a red-crested swallow. I've only seen one of those before in my life.
Oh, Mortimer, I don't know how I could be thinking of a bird right now with Elaine and the engagement and
It's a
everything.
vanishing species. They're always very common. By the way, I left a large envelope around you last week. It was one of the chapters from my book on Thoreau. Have you seen it?
Oh, if you left it here, it must be here somewhere.
What are your plans? When are you going to be married? There must be something more you can tell us about Elaine.
Elaine? Oh, yes, Elaine thought I was late.
Thought what was, dear?
The chapter's on Thoreau.
Well, when Elaine comes back, I think we ought to have a little celebration. Yes, we must drink to your happiness. Martha, is there any more of that Lady Baltimore cake left?
Oh,
Yes.
And all of it a bottle of wine.
Oh, and to think it happened in this room.
Where did I put that?
Well, with your fiance sitting beside you, I do hope the play will be something you enjoy for once. Maybe it'll be something romantic. What's the name of it?
Murder will out.
Oh dear.
The curtain goes up, the first thing you'll see will be a dead body. Come in here!
Yes, dear?
You're going to plan pretending to go to that sanitarium. Happy deal?
Yes, Dr. Harper came by today and dropped off the papers for Teddy to sign. They're right here.
He's got to sign them right away.
That's what Dr. Harper thinks. And there won't be any legal difficulties after we're gone.
He's got to sign them this minute. He's down in the cellar. Get him up here right away.
There's no such hurry as that.
No, when Teddy starts working on that canal, you can't get his mind off anything else.
He's got to go to Happy Deal now. Tonight.
Oh, no, dear. That's not until after we're gone.
Right away, I tell you. Right away.
Mortimer, how can you say such a thing? Why, as long as we're alive, we'll never be separated from Teddy.
Listen. Darlings, I'm frightfully sorry, but I've got some shocking news for you. Now, we're all going to try to keep our heads. You know, we sort of humored Teddy in the past because we thought he was harmless.
Why, he is harmless.
Why, he was harmless. That's why I has to go to Happy Deal. Why he has to be confined.
Mortimer, why have you suddenly turned against Teddy, your own brother?
Gotta know sometime. Might as well be now, Teddy. Teddy's killed a man.
Nonsense, Steve.
There's a body in there.
Yes, dear. We know.
You know?
Of course, dear, but it has nothing to do with Teddy.
So just forget about it. Forget you ever saw the gentleman.
Forget?
We never dreamed you'd peek.
Well, who is he?
His name is Hoskins. Adam Hoskins. That's all I really know about him. Except that he was a Methodist.
That's all you know about him. Well, what's he doing here? What happened to him?
He died.
And Martha. And don't just get into window seats and die.
He died first.
Well, how?
Oh, Mortimer, don't be so inquisitive. He died because we gave him some wine with poison in it.
How? Did the poison get in the wine?
Well, we put it in wine because it's less noticeable. When it's in tea, it has a distinct odor.
You put it in the wine?
Yes, and I put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat because Dr. Harper was coming.
So you knew what you'd done. You didn't want Dr. Harper to see the body.
Well, not at tea. That wouldn't be very nice. Now, Mortimer, you know the whole story. Just forget about it. I do think Martha and I have the right to our own little secrets.
Hey, don't you tell Elaine. Oh, Abby, while I was out, I dropped in on Mrs. Schultz. She's doing much better, but she'd like us to take Junior to the movies again.
Oh, well, we must do that tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, but this time we'll go where we want to go. Junior won't drag me into another one of those scary pictures.
Sit yes. Hello, Al. Do you know who this is? That's right. Say, Al, when I left the office, I told you I was going somewhere. Remember? Well, where did I say? Uh-huh. Well, it would take about half an hour to get to Brooklyn. What time have you got? That's right. I must be here. Aunt Tabby! Now, Martha, come in here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in there.
Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
For God's sake. I can't turn you over to the police, but what am I going to do?
Well, for one thing, dear, stop being so excited.
And for pity's sake, stop worrying. We told you to forget the whole thing.
Forget! My dear Aunt Tabby, can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you're too old to be flying off the handle like this.
But Mr. Hotchkiss.
Mr. Hoskins, dear.
Whatever his name is, you can't just leave him in there.
We don't intend to, dear.
No, Teddy's down in the cellar digging the lock.
You mean you're going to bury Mr. Hotchkiss in the cellar?
Yes, dear. That's what we did with the others.
No, you can't just bury Mr. Others?
Other gentlemen.
When you say others, do you mean others? As in more than one others?
Oh, yes, dear. Let me see. This is 11, isn't it, Abby?
Oh, no, dear. This makes 12.
Oh, but I think you're wrong. This is only 11.
No, because it occurred to me that when Mr. Hoskins first came, he made just an even dozen.
But you really shouldn't count the first one.
Oh, I was counting the first one, so that makes 12.
Hello. Al? Oh, hello, Al. Hi, it's good to hear your voice.
Well, anyway, they're all down in the cellar.
Shh! Oh, no, Al, I'm so resolute. This I just called because I was feeling a little parandella. Baron, you wouldn't know. But listen, Al, I'm glad you called. You've got to get hold of George. I can't cover that play night. No, he's got to cover them. I can't. No, Al, you're wrong. Listen, I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Well, George's got to cover that play night. Listen, Al, this is my department, I'm covering it. Now you get a hold of George. Let's see, where were we? 12?
Yes. Abby thinks we ought to count the first one, and that makes 12.
Let's see. Who was the first one?
His name was Mr. Midgley. He was a Baptist.
Of course, I still think we can't count him because he just died.
Martha means without any help from us. You see, Mr. Midgley came here looking for a room.
It was right after you moved to New York.
And it didn't seem right for that lovely room to go to waste when there were so many people who needed it.
He was such a lonely old man.
All his kith and kin were dead, and it left him so forlorn and unhappy.
We felt so sorry for him.
Then, when his heart attack came, and he sat dead in that chair, looking so peaceful, Martha and I made up our minds then and there that if we could help other lonely old men to that same peace, we would.
You just sat dead right in that chair? How awful for you.
Oh, no, dear. Your grandfather always used to keep a cadaver or two around the house. You see, Teddy had been digging in Panama and thought Mr. Mitchell was a yellow fever victim.
That meant he had to be buried immediately.
So we all took him down to Panama and buried him in a lot. Now that's why we told you not to worry about it, dear, because we know exactly what's to be done.
That's how all this started. I mean, they just locked me in here and dropped me dead.
Of course, we couldn't depend on that happening again, so...
You remember those jars of poison that have been sitting on the shelves in Grandfather's old laboratory all these years?
And you know your Aunt Martha has a knack for mixing things. You've eaten enough of her piccalilli.
Well, for a gallon of elderberry wine, I take 1 teaspoonful of arsenic, 1/2 teaspoonful of strychnine, and just a pinch of cyanide.
Sheriff Parkin?
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of our gentlemen had enough time to say, "How delicious."
Well, I really must start things in the kitchen.
Oh, I do wish you could join us for dinner.
I couldn't even say it.
We're trying a new recipe.
I'll come help you, dear. Well, I feel so much better now. Well, you'll have to wait for Elaine, won't you? How happy you must be. Well, I'll leave you alone with your thoughts.
Oh, it's you.
Don't be cross, darling. Father Gutierrez is excited, so I told him about us and that we had hard to get away. But listen, darling, he's not going to wait up for us tonight.
Listen, Elaine, I have a lot on my mind, so why don't you just run along home and we call you up tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
You know I call you up every day or two.
But we're going to the theater tonight.
No, we're not.
Well, why not?
Listen, Elaine, something's come up.
What is it, darling? Oh, Mortimer, you've lost your job.
No, dear, I haven't lost my the job. I'm just not covering that play night. Now you run along home.
What is it, darling? Certainly you can tell me.
No, dear, I can't.
But if we're going to be married...
Married?
Have you forgotten that not 15 minutes ago you proposed to me?
I did? Oh. Yes, as far as I know, that's still on. Now you run along home.
No, I will not go home. Not until I've had some sort of explanation.
Wait!
What are you doing? Stop it, Mortimer.
Hello, Al? Yeah, I know. It's important. Hey, wait a minute, can't it? Hold on. Listen, boy. You're a sweet girl, and I love you, but I have a lot on my mind now, so I want you to run along home and wait for me to call you up.
Don't try and be masterful.
I hope when we're married and I have problems with it, less tedious and uninspired.
When we're married, if we're married, I hope I find you adequate.
Wait. Al? Hello. Hello, Al?
That's the doorbell, dear, not the telephone. How are you? Come in.
I understand you're in the room, sir.
Yes, won't you come in?
Are you lady of the house?
Yes, I'm Miss Brewster, and this is my sister, another Miss Brewster.
My name is Gibbs.
Oh, won't you sit down? I'm sorry, we're just setting the table for dinner.
Hello. City desk? Yeah, let me speak to Al again. Al. City desk. Hello, Al? Sorry, wrong number.
May I see the room?
Why don't you sit down a minute? Let's get acquainted.
I won't do much good if I don't like the room.
Is Brooklyn your home?
Haven't got a home. Haven't got a home. I live in a hotel. Don't like it.
Hello. Al?
Are your family Brooklyn people?
I'm not your family.
All alone in the world?
Yep.
Well, Martha, I think you'll find our house very comfortable. Do sit down.
Hello. Al? And more. We got cut off. Listen, I can't cover that play night. That's all there's to it. I can't.
What church do you go to? There's an Episcopal church practically next door.
I'm Presbyterian. Used to be.
What's George doing in Bermuda? Well, certainly I told him he could go to Bermuda. It's my apartment, isn't it? Well, there's got to be somebody on the place. You keep looking.
Is there always this much noise?
Oh, he doesn't live with us.
May I see the room?
We will get to that, but before we start up, would you like to try our elderberry wine?
Elderberry wine. I haven't tasted that since I was a boy. Thank you.
There's got to be somebody around the place. Listen now, how about the office boy? You know, the bright one? The one we don't like? Well, you find someone, I'll wait.
May I see the room now?
We'll get to that, but won't you try our wine first?
Do you have your elderberry bushes?
No, but the cemetery's full of them.
There's got to be some preachers around the place. Listen now, how about the fellow that sits my copy? He's the third machine to the left. His name is Joe? Yeah, but be careful not to be another Burns man. No, I'm not drinking. I'm about to start.
Do you serve meals?
We could, but why don't you try our wine? Mortimer, not that.
Get out of there! You want to be killed? You want to be poisoned? You want to be murdered? Ah! Ah!
Now you've spoiled everything.
Can't do things like that. I'm not explaining to you, it's not against the law, it's wrong. It's not a nice thing to do. People would understand. He wouldn't understand.
Abby, we shouldn't have told Mortimer.
Well, what I mean is, this has developed into a very bad habit.
Mortimer, we don't try and stop you from doing things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Fine. I'll see the first act and I'll pin the hell out. But Al, you've got to do something for me. Get a hold of O'Brien, our lawyer, head of our legal department, You haven't even at the theater. Don't let me down. All right, I'm on my way. Listen, I've got to go to the theater and I can't get out of it. But before I go, I want you two to promise me something.
We have to know what it was first.
I love you very much, and I know you love me. I'd do anything in the world for you, and I want you to just do this one little thing for me.
What could we do for you?
Don't do anything. I mean, don't do anything. Leave it to your husband right where he is, and don't let anybody in this house.
Why?
Give me some time to think. I've got quite a little to think about.
Well, what on earth could happen to us?
Anyway, you'll do this for me, won't you?
We were planning on holding services before dinner.
Services?
You don't think we bury Mr. Hoskins without a full Methodist service, do you?
But can't that wait until I get back?
Oh, then you could join us.
Yes, yes.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, we'll enjoy the services, especially the hymns. Remember how beautifully Mortimer used to sing in the choir before his voice changed?
And you won't let anybody in this house when I'm gone. It's a promise?
Well,
Oh, Martha, we can do this now. Mortimer's cooperating with us. Well, all right, Mortimer.
By the way, have you got any paper?
There's some stationery here. Will this do?
I guess. I can save some time for a right review on the way to the theater.
Abby, Mortimer didn't seem quite himself today.
Well, that's only natural. I think I know why.
Why?
He's just become engaged to be married. I suppose that always makes a man nervous.
Well, I'm so happy for Elaine. Their honeymoon ought to give Mortimer a real vacation. I don't think he got much rest this summer.
Well, at least he didn't go knitting off to China or Spain.
Never understand why he wants to go to those places.
Well, I think to Mortimer the theaters always seemed pretty small potatoes. He needs something big to criticize. Something like the human race.
Oh, Abby, if Mortimer's coming back for the services, we'll need another hymnal. There's one in my room.
You know, dear, it really is my turn to read services. But since you weren't here when it happened, I want you to do it.
It's very kind of you, dear, but are you sure you want me to?
It's only fair.
Well, I'll wear my black bombazine and mother's old brooch.
Oh, I'll go, dear.
We promised Mortimer we wouldn't let anyone in.
Who do you suppose it is?
Let me see. There's two men. I've never seen them before.
Are you sure?
There's a car at the curb. They must have come in that.
Let me look.
Do you recognize them?
They're strangers to me.
Well, we'll have to pretend we're not at home.
Come in, Doctor. This is the home of my youth. As a boy, I couldn't wait to escape from this place. And I'm glad to escape back into it.
Yeah, Shawty, it's a fine hideout.
Everyone must still live here. There's something so unmistakably Brewster about the Brewsters. I hope there's a fatted calf waiting to return the prodigal.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Shawty, drinks.
As though we were expected. A good omen.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Why, Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha. It's Jonathan.
You get out of here.
It's Jonathan. Your nephew? Jonathan!
Oh, no, you're not. You're nothing like Jonathan, so don't pretend you are.
But I am Jonathan. And this is Dr. Einstein.
That's not Dr. Einstein either.
Not Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Herman Einstein.
Who are you? You're not our nephew, Jonathan.
I see you're still wearing the lovely garnet ring that Grandma Brewster brought you in England. And you, Martha, still the high collar that had the scars where Grandfather's acid burnt you.
His voice is like Jonathan's.
Have you been in an accident?
No, my face. Dr. Einstein's responsible for that. He's a plastic surgeon. He changes people's faces.
But I know that face.
Abby.
Remember when we went to the movies with little Schultz boy and I was so frightened? It was that face!
Oh, don't worry, ladies. The last 5 years I give Shawnee 3 new faces. I give him another one right away. It's the last face, but I saw that picture too, just before I operated, and I was intoxicated.
You see, Doctor? You see what you've done to me? Now you're my own family!
Johnny, home. It's this lovely house. How often he tells me about Brooklyn, about his aunts that he loves so much. Say no to Jonathan. Speak to him. Tell him so.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a long time. What have you been doing all these years?
Yes, Jonathan. Where have you been?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia. The last 5 years, Chicago. Dr. Einstein and I were in business there together.
Oh, we were in Chicago for the World's Fair.
Yes. We found Chicago awfully warm.
Yeah, it got hot for us too.
Well, it's wonderful to be in Brooklyn again. And you, Adam, Martha, you're almost a day older. Just as I remember you. Sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy, did he get into politics? My little brother, Doctor, was determined to become president.
Oh, Teddy's fine, just fine. And Mortimer's well, too.
Yes, I know all about Mortimer. I've seen his picture at the head of his column. He's evidently fulfilled all the promises of his early nasty nature.
We're very fond of Mortimer.
Well, Jonathan, it's nice to have seen you.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home again.
Well, we mustn't let what's on that stove boil over.
Yes, if you'll excuse us for a minute, Jonathan. Unless you're in a hurry to go someplace.
Well, Johnny, where do we go from here? So please, you've got a picture of Sat face. I got to operate on you right away. We got to find some place for Sat, and we got to find some place for Mr. Spinoza too.
Don't waste any worry on that.
Oh, but Johnny, we got a hot stiff on our hands.
Forget about Mr.
You
Spinoza.
can't just leave the dead body in a rumble seat, Johnny. He was a nice fellow. He gives us lip in what happened.
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor. You did that to me.
Johnny, I find some place to operate on you right away.
Tonight.
I got to eat first. I'm hungry and weak.
Jonathan, we're glad you remember us and that you stopped by to say hello. But you were never happy in this house. We were never happy when you were in it. So we've just come to say goodbye.
My dear aunts, I can't say that your feelings towards me comes as a surprise. I spent a great many hours regretting the many heartaches I must have given you as a boy.
You were quite a trial on us, Jonathan.
But my great disappointment is for Dr. Einstein. You see, I promised him, no matter how rushed we were in passing through Brooklyn, I'd take the time to bring him here for one of Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm afraid there won't be enough.
Abby, it's a pretty good-sized pot roast.
Pot roast?
Least we can do.
Oh, all right. I'll come help you in a minute, dear. Jonathan, if you want to freshen up, you can use the washroom in Grandfather's laboratory.
Is that still there?
Oh, yes, just as he left it. Well, I'll go help Martha in the kitchen since we're all in a hurry.
Grandfather's laboratory. And just as it was, Doctor, a perfect operating room.
yeah, too bad we can't use it.
After you finish with me, or we can make a fortune here. Grandfather's laboratory, that large ward in the attic, 10 beds, and Doctor, Brooklyn is crying for your talent.
I worked yourself up, Johnny. And there, for Brooklyn, I think we're a year too late.
You don't know this town, Doctor. Practically everybody in Brooklyn needs a new face.
So many of the old faces are locked up.
A very small percentage. And the boys in Brooklyn are famous for paying generously to stay out of jail.
Johnny, your aunts don't want us here.
We were invited for dinner, weren't we?
Yeah, but after dinner.
Leave it to me, Doctor. I'll handle it. Why, this place will be our headquarters for years.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful. This nice, quiet house. These ladies, I love them already. I get snacks, yeah?
But Doctor, we must wait until we're invited.
What you just said.
We'll be invited.
Oh, and if they say no?
Doctor. 2 helpless old ladies.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful. It's so peaceful here.
That's what makes it so perfect. It's so peaceful. Charge!
Yes, aunties, those 5 years in Chicago were amongst the busiest and happiest of my life.
I'm from Chicago. We go to South Bend, Indiana.
They wouldn't be interested in our experience in Indiana.
Well, Jonathan, you've led a very interesting life, I'm sure. But we really shouldn't have allowed you to talk so late.
My meeting Dr. Einstein in London, I might say, changed the whole course of my life. You remember I have been in South Africa, the diamond business, then Amsterdam, the diamond market. I wanted to go back to South Africa, and Dr. Einstein made it possible for me.
A good job, Johnny. As an astronaut's advantages. This place looks so different. She had to introduce me.
I love that face. I still carry the picture with me.
This looks more like you used to. I still wouldn't know you.
I think we'll go back to that face, Doctor.
Yeah, it's safe now.
Well, I know you both want to get to where you're going.
My dear aunts, I'm so full of that delicious dinner, I'm unable to move a muscle.
Yeah, it's nice here. After all, it's very late.
I found it! I found it!
What did you find, Teddy?
The story of my life, my biography. You see, General, this was the image I was telling you about. President Roosevelt and General Goethals at Culebra Cut.
My, how I've changed.
Oh, well, you see, that picture hasn't been taken yet. We're still digging rocks. We haven't even started on Culebra Cut. And now, General, you shall accompany me to the inspection of the new lock.
No, Teddy, not to Panama.
Because some other time, Mr. President. Panama's a long way off.
Nonsense, it's just under the cellar.
We let him dig Panama Canal in the cellar.
General Goethals, as President of the United States Army and Navy, and the man who gave you this job, I demand that you accompany me to the inspection of the new lock.
Teddy! I think it's time you went to bed.
I beg your pardon. Who are you?
I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed.
No, you're not Wilson. But your face does look familiar. Perhaps someone I've met in my travels. Yes, perhaps someone I've met in Africa. You look like someone who might have come from the jungle.
Teddy, it's your brother, Jonathan here.
He's having a face change.
So that's it, a nectar pleasure.
And perhaps you better go to bed, Teddy. Jonathan and his friend have to get back to their hotel.
General Goethals, inspect the canal.
All right, Mr. President. We go to Panama.
Bully! Bully! All right, follow me, General. Sounds salty now.
On Avenue, I must correct your misapprehension. You spoke of our hotel. We have no hotel. We came to rest you here.
Well, there's a very nice little hotel.
Martha, this is my home.
Jonathan, I'm afraid we can't stay here. We need our rooms.
You need them?
Yes, for our lodgers.
Are there lodgers here?
Well, not just now, but we plan to have some.
Then my old room is still free.
I'm afraid there won't be any room for Dr. Einstein.
They'll share the room with me.
No, Jonathan, you can't stay here.
Dr. Einstein and I need a place to sleep. You remember this afternoon that as a boy I could be disagreeable? It wouldn't be very pleasant for any of us.
Perhaps we better let them stay here tonight.
Well, just for tonight.
That's settled. Now if you'll get my room ready.
It only needs airing out.
Think you and Dr. Einstein will find it very comfortable. We keep it ready to show our lodgers.
You have a most distinguished guest in Dr. Einstein. I'm afraid you don't appreciate his skills, but you will. In a few days, you'll see me looking like a very different Jonathan.
He can't operate on you here.
When Dr. Einstein and I get organized, when we resume practice, we expect to be quite busy.
Jonathan, I will not have you turn this house into a hospital.
A hospital? No. That will be a beauty parlor.
Hey, Shorty, down at the center.
Dr. Einstein, my dear aunts have just invited us to live with them.
Oh, you fixed it.
Well, you're staying here tonight.
Please get my room ready immediately.
Well,
For tonight.
find.
What?
The Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal.
It's a hole Teddy dug 6 feet long and 4 feet wide. It just fits Mr. Spinoza.
Down there?
It seems I know we were bringing him along. It's hospitality.
Another good joke on my eyes. They're living in a house with a body buried in the cellar.
How do we get them in?
Yes, we can't just walk them into the front door. We'll drive the car between the house and the cemetery. And when everyone's gone to bed, we'll bring Mr. Spinozzo in through the window.
Oh, Ben, just think we got to bed tonight.
Easy, doctor. Remember, you're operating tomorrow. And this time, he's better than sober.
I fixed you up beautiful.
Jonathan, your room's ready.
Then you and Martha can go to bed. We're driving the car up behind the house.
It's all right where it is until the morning.
I don't want to leave it in the street. That might be illegal.
Abby, what are we going to do?
Well, we're not going to let them stay more than one night in this house, that's for sure. What would the neighbors think? Coming in with one face and going out with another?
What are we going to do about Mr. Hoskins?
Oh, Mr. Hoskins. Can't be very comfortable for him in there. He's been so patient. I think we better bring him down to the cellar right away.
Abby, I will not invite Jonathan to the funeral services.
Oh, no, dear. We'll wait until they've gone to bed and then hold the services.
General Goethals was very pleased. He said the canal was just the right size.
Teddy, dear, there's been another yellow fever victim.
Dear me, this will be a shock to the general.
Then we mustn't tell him.
But it's his department.
We just spoiled his visit.
I'm sorry, Aunt Abby. It's out of my hands. You will have to be told. Army regulations, you know.
But Teddy, he must keep this a secret.
Yes.
A state secret.
Yes, Teddy, state secret.
Promise.
Have the word of the President of the United States. Cross my heart and hope to die. Now, how are we going to keep it a secret?
Now, Teddy, you go downstairs, and when it's all dark, when I turn out the lights, you run up and take the poor man down to the canal. Now run along, Teddy.
We will come down later and hold services.
You may announce that the President will say a few words. Where is the poor devil?
The window seat.
Dear me. We've never had yellow fever there before.
Martha, when Jonathan and Dr. Einstein come back, let's see if we can get them to bed right away.
Yes. And by the time they're asleep, we'll be dressed and ready for the funeral. Abby, I've never even seen Mr. Hoskins.
Oh, dear, that's right. You were out. Well, you just come along with me and we'll look at him now. You know, he really is very nice looking, considering he's a Methodist.
We're bringing the luggage in through here.
Jonathan, your room's ready. You can go up now.
I'm afraid we don't keep hook around. You don't know me.
Now you must be very tired. Both of you. And we don't go to bed this early.
Well, you should. It's time I came home to take care of it.
We weren't planning to go.
Martha! Did you hear me say go to bed? The instruments can go in the laboratory in the morning, Doctor. Now then, we're all going to bed.
I'll wait till you're up and then turn on the lights.
There's another flight, Doctor. Run along, Martha. All right, Aunt Abby.
I'll wait till you're up.
Now, Aunt Abby, turn out the lights. All right, Johnny. I'll get the window open. You go around and hand him through.
No, he's too heavy for me. You go outside and push, I stay here and pull. And together we get him down to Panama.
All right. I'll take a look around outside. When I tap on the glass, you open the window.
Oh, that was me, Johnny. I slipped.
Oh, his shoe came off. Shirley, someone at the door. Go quick. I'm gonna cheer you. Go quick.
Miss Abby! Miss Martha! Miss Abby! Miss Martha? Who is that? Is that you, Teddy? Oh! Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Elaine Harper. I live next door.
What are you doing here?
I came to see Miss Abby and Miss Martha.
Turn on the lights, Doctor.
Oh!
You chose a rather untimely moment for a social call.
I think you better explain what you're doing here.
We happen to live here.
You don't live here. I'm in this house every day and I've never seen you before. Where are Miss Abby and Miss Martha? What have you done to them?
Perhaps we'd better introduce ourselves. This is Dr. Einstein. A surgeon of great distinction and somewhat of a magician.
And I suppose you're going to tell me you're Forrest.
I'm Jonathan Brewster!
Oh, you're Jonathan.
I see you've heard of me.
Yes, just this afternoon for the first time.
And what did they say about me?
Just that there was another brother named Jonathan. That's all. Well, that explains everything. Now that I know who you are, I'll be running along home. If you'll kindly unlock the door.
What do you mean that explains everything? Why did you come here at this time of night?
I came to see Miss Abby and Miss Martha. I thought I saw someone prowling around the house, so I came to tell them.
You thought you saw someone crawl around the house?
Yes, wasn't that you? Isn't that your car?
You saw someone in the car?
Yes.
What else did you see?
Just that. I came to tell Miss Abby to call the police. But if that's you, there's no need to call the police. I'll be running along.
What was the man doing at the car?
I don't know. You see, I was on my way over here.
I think you're lying.
Oh, I think she tells the truth, Johnny. We let her go now, huh?
I think she's lying. Breaking into a house at this time of night, I think she's dangerous. She shouldn't be allowed loose. Doctor!
Take your hands off of me!
It's going to be private, you know.
Teddy, tell these men who I am!
That's my daughter, Alice.
No! No, Teddy!
The cellar!
What's the matter? What are you doing?
What's happening down here?
What's going on?
We caught a burglar, a sneak thief. Go back to bed.
We'll call the
No,
police.
we've already called the police. We're handling it. Go back to bed. Do you hear me?
Where have you been?
Nobody's here. You should know that. My God, he's still there.
Mortimer, it's your brother, Jonathan. And this is Dr. Einstein.
What is it?
I've come home, Mortimer.
say this was?
Your brother, Jonathan, he's had his face changed. Dr. Einstein performed the operation.
Jonathan! Jonathan, you always were a quarter, but you have to look like one.
Easy, Shawnee, easy.
Are you forgetting the things I used to do to you when we were boys? When I tied you to the bedpost? The needles under your fingernails?
Yes, I remember you. I remember you as the most detestable, vicious, venomous form of an animal life I've ever known.
Now, boys, don't you start quarreling the moment you see each other.
Don't worry, Aunt Abby. Don't be any fight. Jonathan, you're not wanted here. Get out!
We were invited to stay.
Not in this house.
Well, for tonight,
I don't want to be anywhere near me.
we did invite them for tonight. And it wouldn't be very nice of us to go back on our word.
Fine. Tonight. But first thing in the morning, out! Where are they sleeping?
We put them in Jonathan's old room.
It's my old room. I'm sleeping there, I'm here to stay.
Oh, Mortimer, I'm so glad. Oh, Shawnee, we sleep down here tonight.
I bet your life you sleep.
Oh, you sleep on the sofa and I sleep on the window seat.
Windows! Well, that's not our part. The window seat's good enough for me, and I'll sleep on the window seat.
Oh, you know, Shawnee, all this argument, it makes me think of Mr. Spinoza.
Well now, Mortimer, we'd hate to inconvenience you like this. You'll sleep down here tonight.
Jonathan, your second consideration for me is very unconvincing.
Come, Shawnee, let's get our savings.
By the way, Doctor, I've completely lost track of Mr. Spinoza.
Who is this Mr. Spinoza?
Oh, just a friend of ours, Shawnee, and I have been looking for.
Don't give me your nose.
No, Shawnee, I did everything and tell you everything.
Mortimer, you don't have to sleep down here. I'll go with Martha and you can take my room.
It's all right, Aunt Abby. We'll be packed in a few minutes, and then you can have the room, Mortimer.
You're just wasting your time. I told you I'm sleeping down here.
Mortimer,
Elaine,
Mortimer, I've almost been killed.
you've almost been... Abby? Martha?
No, it was Jonathan.
He mistook her for a sneak thief.
No, it was more than that. He's some kind of maniac. Mortimer, I'm afraid of him.
Darling, you're trembling. Have you got any smelling salts?
No, but do you think some tea or
Coffee. Make some for me too? And some sandwiches I haven't had in
We'll make something for the both of you.
Martha, we can leave our hats down here now.
You weren't going somewhere, were you? Did you realize what time it is? It's after 12. 12! Elaine, you've got to go home.
What? Oh, we were going to make some sandwiches for the both of you. We won't be a minute.
Why don't you remember? We wanted to celebrate your engagement. That's what we'll do, dear. We'll make a nice supper for the both of you. And I'll open a bottle of wine.
All right. No one!
What is going on in this house?
What do you mean, what's going on in this house?
You were supposed to take me to dinner in the theater tonight. You called it off. You proposed to me. I say yes, and not 5 minutes later, you try and throw me out of the house. And now, just as your brother tries to strangle me, you try and chase me home. Now listen here, Mr. Brewster. Before I go home, I want to know where I stand. Do you love me?
I love you very much, Elaine. In fact, I love you so much I can't marry you.
Have you suddenly gone crazy?
I don't think so, but it's just a matter of time. You see, insanity runs in my family. It practically gallows. That's why I can't marry you, dear.
Now wait a minute, you've got to be better than that.
No. Dear, there's a strange taint in the Brewster's blood. If you really knew my family as well as what Detective Stryden would have written hells upon.
Now, just because Teddy is a little
No.
off it.
It goes way back. The first Brewster. The one who came over on the Mayflower. You know, in those days when the Indians used to scalp the settlers. He used to scalp the Indians.
Now, Mortimer, that is ancient history.
No, the whole family. Take my grandfather. He used to try patent medicines out on dead people. to ensure we killed them.
No, he wasn't so crazy. He made $1 million.
And there's Jonathan. I mean, you said it yourself, he's a maniac. He tried to kill you.
No, dear, that's your brother, not you. I'm in love with you.
And then there's Teddy. You know Teddy, he gets his Roosevelt. Oh dear, no Brewster should marry. I realize now that I've met my father, I might have stopped him.
Oh, darling, none of this proves you're crazy. What about your aunts? They're Brewsters, aren't they? And they're the sanest, sweetest people I've ever known.
Well, they have their peculiarities.
Wonderful peculiarities. Kindness, generosity, human sympathy.
There's another one!
There are plenty of other ones. You can't tell me a thing about your aunts.
I don't intentionally. Listen, Elaine, you've got to go home. Something's come up.
Up from where? We're here alone together.
Listen, Elaine, I know I'm acting rash, but just put it down to the fact that I'm a mad person.
If you think you're going to get out of this by pretending you're insane, you're crazy. You may not marry me, but I'm going to marry you. I love you, you dope.
If you love me, will you get the hell out of here?
But at least walk me home, won't you? Mortimer, I'm afraid.
Afraid. Let's walk through the cemetery.
Well, at least kiss me goodnight then.
All right. Good night, dear. Call up in a day or two.
You critic!
Aunt Abby! Aunt Martha, come in here.
We'll be in a minute,
Come in here now.
Yes, dear, what is it? Where's Elaine?
I thought you probably not let anybody in this house when I was gone.
Well, Jonathan.
I don't mean Jonathan.
And Dr. Einstein.
I don't mean Dr. Einstein. Who's that in the windows?
We told you, Mr. Hoskins.
It's not Mr. Hoskins.
Who can that be?
Are you trying to tell me you've never seen this man before?
I certainly am. For this is a fine how you do. Beginning to think that anyone can just walk into this house.
Don't you try to get out of this. That's another one of your gentlemen.
He is not. And if he's an imposter, and if he came here to be buried in our cellar, then he's mistaken.
What's happened? How can I believe you? You admitted to me that you put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat.
Yes, I did.
Well, this man couldn't have just gotten the idea from Mr. Hoskins. By the way, where's Mr. Hoskins?
He must have gone to Panama.
You buried him?
No, he's just down there waiting for the funeral. Haven't had a minute with Jonathan in the house. Oh, we've always wanted to hold a double funeral. But I will not read services over a complete stranger.
A stranger! And tell me, how can I believe you? There are 12 men in the cell and you admit you poisoned them.
Yes, I did, but you don't think I'd stoop to tell a fib. Martha!
Mortimer, I'd like to have a word with you. Words about all we have time for you, John. He's outside that you and your little doctor friend are going to have to leave this house just as soon as possible.
I'm glad you recognize the fact that you and I can't live under the same roof. Well, you arrived at the wrong conclusion. Now pack your suitcase and get out.
Jonathan, you're beginning to bore me. You played one night stand in Brooklyn, move on!
Just because you graduated from the back bench to the typewriter, don't think you've grown up. I'm staying and you're leaving. And I mean now.
If you think you can frighten me, if you think there's anything that I fear,
I've lived a strange life, Morgan, but it's taught me one thing. To be afraid of nothing.
Martha, come here. Just look what's in that window seat.
now I'm Tabby. Jonathan, why don't you show Aunt Martha what's in the window seat? Aunt Tabby, I owe you an apology. I have good news for you. Jonathan's leaving. He's taking Dr. Einstein and your cold companion. Jonathan, you're my brother. You're Brewster, so I'm going to give you a chance to get out of this house just as far away as possible. Can't ask for more than that. Very well. In that case, I'll just have to call the police.
Don't reach for that telephone! Are you still giving me orders after seeing what happened to Mr. Spinozzo?
Spinozzo?
I knew he was a foreigner.
What happened to Mr. Spinozzo can happen to you too.
Hello, Miss Abby.
Oh, Officer O'Hara, is there something we can do for you?
saw your lights on and thought there might be a sickness in the house. Oh, you got company. I'm sorry I disturbed you.
No, come in.
Yes, come in.
Come in, Officer O'Hara. This is our nephew, Mortimer.
Pleased to meet you.
And this is our other nephew, Jonathan.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. Well, it must be nice having your nephews visiting you. Are they going to be staying with you for a bit?
I'm staying. My brother Jonathan is just leaving.
I've met you here before, haven't I?
Afraid not. Jonathan hasn't been home in years.
Your face looks familiar to me. Maybe I've seen a picture of you somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yes, Jonathan. I'd get going if I were you. Your things are all packed in today, aren't they?
Well, you'll be wanting to say your goodbyes. I'll be running along then.
No. I'd like to stick around till my brother goes.
I just dropped by to make sure everything was all right.
About to have coffee in a minute. Would you like to join us?
Oh, we forgot the coffee.
Well, I'll make some more sandwiches. I have to know your appetite by this time, Officer O'Hara.
Don't bother. I'm due to ring in a few minutes.
Would you like to sit?
Say, ain't I seen a photograph of your brother around here someplace?
I don't think so.
Well, he certainly reminds me of somebody.
Probably looks like someone you've seen in the movies.
Never go to the movies. I hate them. My mother says the movies is a bastard dog.
Yes, it's full. Your mother said that?
Yeah, my mother. She was an actress, a stage actress. Perhaps you've heard of her. Peaches Latour.
Sounds like a name I've seen in the program.
Well, her big hit was Mutt and Jeff. It played for 3 years. I was born on tour, 3rd season.
You were?
Yep, Sioux City, Iowa. I was born in the dressing room at the end of the 2nd act, and my mother made the finale.
What a trooper. It must be a good story, your mother. You know, I write for the theater.
You do? Say, you're not Mortimer Brewster, the dramatic critic.
Yes.
Well, I certainly am glad to meet you. Say, Mr. Brewster, we're in the same line of business.
We are?
Yeah, I'm a playwright. Oh, this being on the police force is just temporary.
How long have you been on the force?
12 years. I've been collecting material for my play.
I'll bet it's hot.
Well, it ought to be. With all the drama I see being a cop, Mr. Brewster, you got no idea what goes on in Brooklyn.
I think I have.
Hey, what time you got?
10 after 1.
Gee, I gotta ring in.
Wait a minute. Don't hear on that play, Bruce. Thought maybe able to help you.
You would? Say, it was fate my walking in here tonight. Now look, I'll tell you the plot.
Oh, you're on your way, eh? Good. You haven't got much time yet.
Well, everything's just about ready. Oh, Jonathan, you're leaving. Goodbye. Goodbye, Dr. Einstein. Does this case belong to you?
Yes, Jonathan. You can't leave without all your things. Well, it was nice meeting you. Let's get together again sometime and talk about your play.
Oh, I'm not leaving now, Mr. Brewster.
You're not?
Well, you just offered to help me with my play, didn't you? You and me are gonna write my play together.
I can't do that over here. I'm not a creative writer.
I'll do the creative. You just put the words to it.
But O'Hara.
No, sir, Mr. Brewster. I ain't leaving this house till I tell you the plot.
In that case, Mortimer will be running along.
Don't you try that. You can't go yet. You've got to take everything with you, you know. Look, O'Hara, my brother on his way, so why don't you just go too?
Oh, I can wait. I've been waiting 12 years.
I'm sorry, I was so long.
Don't do that either. O'Hara, would you like to join us for a bite in the kitchen?
The kitchen?
Jonathan's leaving.
Oh, well that's nice. Come along, Officer O'Hara.
Are you sure you don't mind eating in the kitchen?
And where else would you eat?
Nice to see you, Jonathan. Glad you could stop by.
Glad you came back to Brooklyn, Jonathan. Because it finally gives me the chance to throw you out once and for all. And the first one out is your little boyfriend. Mr. Spinoza!
Look, Mr. Brewster, we can talk in here.
No, I'll be in a minute.
Am I really grew up trying to play with a policeman?
Get going now. All three of you. Doctor!
This affair between my brother and me has got to be settled.
Johnny, your brother gives us a chance to get the vet. What could you ask?
You don't understand. This goes back a good many years.
Johnny, let's get going.
We're not going. We're sleeping here tonight.
Is it the cop in the kitchen and Mr. Spinelli up window seat?
That's all he's got on us. We'll take Mr. Spinalzo down to the bay and dump him. And we'll come back here. And if they try to interfere...
No, Johnny.
Doctor, you know what has made up my mind.
Yeah, when you make up your mind, you lose your head. Brooklyn ain't a good place for you.
Doctor!
All right, we got to stick together. Someday we'll get stuck together. If we're coming back here, we got to take these with us.
No, leave him here. Hide him in the cellar. Move fast. Mr. Spinalzo can go out the same way he came in.
Oh, he's trying to come quick! Will you know that hole, Teddy down?
Yes?
Oh, we got and there's in the hole. Come and show you.
Jonathan! Jonathan! Hey, Jonathan!
Yes, ma'am.
Are you too big? I thought I told you to get out.
We're not going.
Oh, you're not? You think I'm not serious about this? You want to hear me see what's in the window seat?
We're staying here.
Very well. Guess this just finally gives me the chance to get you and O'Hara out of my hair at the same time. Officer O'Hara! Come in here!
If you tell O'Hare what's in the window seat, we'll tell him what's down in the cellar.
Cellar?
There's an elderly gentleman down there who seems to be very dead.
You two really down in the cellar.
What's we doing down in the cellar?
No thanks, ma'am. They were fine. I've had plenty.
So what are you going to tell O'Hare?
Look, Mr. Brewster, your aunts want to hear too. Shall I get them in here?
No. O'Hara, we can't do this now. You've got to ring it.
To hell with ringing in. I get your aunts in here and tell you the plot.
O'Hara, not in front of all these people. Get together alone, someplace later.
How about the back room at Kelly's?
Yes, yes. Let's go to Kelly's and you can ring it all the way.
All
Why
right.
don't you two go down into the cellar?
That's all right with me. Is this the cellar?
No! No! We'll go to Kelly's, but you're going to ring in on the way.
All right. That'll only take a couple of minutes.
I'll ditch this guy and be back in 5 minutes. I'll expect to find him gone.
We'll wait for him, Doctor. I've waited a good many years for a chance like this.
We got him right where we want him. Did he look guilty? Oh, gets the bags, yeah.
Have they gone? Oh, we thought we heard somebody leave.
Just Mortimer. He'll be back in a few minutes. Is there any food left in the kitchen? I think Dr. Einstein and I would enjoy a bite.
But you won't have time.
No, and if you're still here when Mortimer gets back, he won't like it.
I like it. He's got to like it.
Now get something for us to eat while we bury Mr. Spinalzo down in the cellar.
Oh, no. You can't bury him here, Jonathan. No, you've got to take him with you.
There's a friend of Mortimer's downstairs waiting for him.
Friend of Mortimer's?
I think he and Mr. Spinalzo will get along fine together. They're both dead.
They must mean Mr. Hoskins. Mr. Hoskins.
You know about what's down there?
Of course we do. But he's no friend of Mortimer's. Why, he's one of our gentlemen.
Your gentlemen. We won't have any strangers buried in our cellar.
Well, Mr. Hoskins.
Mr. Hoskins isn't a stranger.
Besides, the cellar's crowded already. There's no room for Mr. Spinalzo.
Crowded with what?
There's 12 graves down there now.
12 graves.
That leaves very little room, and we're going to need it.
You mean you and I want to have murdered?
Murdered? Certainly not. Why, it's one of our charities.
What we're doing is a mercy.
So you just get Mr. Spinalzo out of here.
You mean you've done that here, in this house? You buried them down there?
You know, Johnny, we've been chased all over the world. The old ladies are right here in Brooklyn and do just as good as we do.
What?
You've got 12 and they've got 12.
I've got 13.
No, Shawnee, 12.
13. There's Mr. Spinozzo, then the first one in London, 2 in Johannesburg, 1 in Sydney, 1 in Melbourne, 2 in San Francisco, 1 in Phoenix, Arizona,
Phoenix?
the filling station, 3 in Chicago, and 1 in South Bend. That makes 13.
You cannot count so far in South Bend. He died of pneumonia.
Well, you wouldn't have died of pneumonia if I hadn't shot him.
No, Shawnee, you don't count.
We count with me. I say 13.
No, you've got 12 and they've got 12. So your ladies are just as good as you.
Oh, yeah? Well, that can easily be fixed. All I need is 1 more. That's all. Just 1 more.
Here I